should you enter the trade out of the wick of a order block or the body of an order block, and you're confused which one to pick, and you don't know what to enter out of, you don't know which one to enter out of, and you're just randomly guessing, and you get it stopped out. And today we're going to talk about which one should you enter out of, the pros and cons of both and each, because they both have a pros and cons into it. And order blocks are just CISD, CSD, the same name. Just we can call it whatever you want to call it, right? But a wick of a candle is a whole body, is a whole candle, right? It's not just the body of the candle, it's a whole candle. The high and the low and the body, right? That is the full, that is the wick of an order block. A CISD, I mean a body of an order block is just a body that you can see, not the wicks, just a body, right? It's the order block, right? There's scenarios for this. There are scenarios for this. There's pros and cons for each of them. Scenario one would be if the market just closed above the body of the candle, you could use the body. When the market just closed above the body of the candle, you could use that as an order block, so that's CISD. Right? In this case, you close the body of it. You could use this as a TISD. Right? You could use it at this. You could use a body as the order block because the wick never got tapped into. And we're going over high probability order block as well. So a high probability order block would be like this: either one that purges liquidity, or two that fills liquidity. Or it could be each. It could be integrated together. It doesn't really matter. But you have to have one of them in there, right? You have to have a purge of a liquidity, or you have to have a fill of a liquidity, right? So fill another order block, fill it for right gap, right? Or you have to have a purge. You could have, if there's both there, it's fine. You use both, right? Wouldn't be much of a difference. People like to mistake that around. That is a high probability of an order block, right? In this case, how is this a high probability order block? Because this one purged out liquidity, purged out this one, and he purged out this one, right? You helped it purge out both liquidity, sells out liquidity stop rate. So that's a high probability of a order block. A low probability of an order block would be without a purge, without filling the liquidity, right? In this case, it didn't fill no liquidity, but he did purge out liquidity, so still high probability of an order block. So now that's out of the way. I'm going to be talking about the wick of the body, right? And as I said, if you close above the body, you're picking at the body, and if you close above the whole candle, you're picking the whole candle, right, as your order block or CISD, right? Now let's go over the pros and cons of each of them, right? The pros of the wick is you have less losses because you have a higher win rate. Actually, you have higher win rates. You have less losses because they're whole candle, right? It's like, you gotta trust me on this. I'll just show you guys an example of it too. I'll show you guys proof. You have less losses. You have more. You have less losses, and it's higher probability, right? And what is the cons of it? Might miss out trades, less RR, and that's it. Less RR. You might miss out some trades, and less RR because the body gives you more RR, and the wick gives you less RR, right? So the wick, the RR is not that much difference, by the way. This would you say 6.2 RR to what? 5.82. Usually always near each other, right? And in this case, you will use, in that case, that's the pros and cons for a wick of an order block. So meaning the whole thing, right? The wick, the body as well, combined, right? Making a CISD or order block. Now, what is the cons and pros of the body? Lower probability, meaning he has higher chance of getting stopped out. As people do like to say, oh, well, body is better than that, but I'll show you guys proof of it as well, right? He has higher chance of getting stopped out. So some people who like to trade one trade per session, the body of order block is not it for you. And I'll show you guys a way to integrate both of them together and use them as your advantage, right? So now, that's the cons of it. You have lower probability, and other than that that's the only low probability. But the The pros are higher RR, get higher RR, so that means give more RR than the body, than the wick, and that's the only thing difference, right? But the lower probability is a problem because that lower probability could get stop you out multiple times, right? Which is not good. People who trade one time per session, this is not it for you. Yes, you can see this, you only got tapped once and they pushed out of it, but most often than not, you'll get stopped out. But I'll go talk over it, right? So now let's show you guys examples of the body and the wick and the pairs of liquidity and the fill of liquidity, right? This, if we go to the daily time frame, let's just do the fill of liquidity. On the daily time frame, this right over here got used as a body. And this candle right over here, it filled a monthly fair value gap, right? It filled a monthly fair value gap. So that fair value, this auto block is a high probability because it filled filled liquidity. And this would be a high probability of a auto block for a body because this one pushed out a liquidity. So that's the only thing, right? This time is fractal in every time frame, right? So don't get confused on that. And now talk about those purging and filling. Now let's go over the bodies and the wicks, right? This whole candle is a body, right? And another thing for the body, you do get less entries, by the way, because you might miss out some entries. I think I've already said that. I think I forgot about it. But you will sometimes miss out entries just like this, and market ripped up. It have not hit the goal yet, but market can't just go up straight away, right? It has to go through pages. And now let's go over what I mean if you should be using the body or the wick. So now let's go over the body. Why do I say you have a lower win rate? Not lower win rate, lower probability and / lower win rate for the body. My mentor, the guy that taught me this whole thing, he uses the body, right? But he knows how to use it well, right? So in my case, I'm not that good with it, right? So in my experience, everybody could see it differently, right? In my case, this has lower probability because you can get south out multiple times. As I said, I'm gonna show you guys. And yeah, it's you could pick the body or the wick. All depends on how you style. It all depends. I've already told you the cons, the pros and cons of it. And now let me show you what I mean that the cons of the body is, right? The cons, basically the lower probability over here, but you do get higher win rate. You see right over here, this one did hit TP. So you would, if you do the body and you're looking for the one that purge out liquidity, right? This one purge out liquidity. And this was, there's a whole setup out of this. It was a fair value gap, everything here, right? Body, close above, they close above the body. Stop loss. Right over here, another example for you guys. Purge out liquidity, this would not be auto block because this candle right here, purge out is low, so I would not call as an auto block. Right over here, was another example here. I have another example here. Right over here, purge out liquidity, this already super lows. Purge out liquidity, goes above the body, loss. Right over here, is there any other examples here? Those are the body. Right over here, this one that have the purge out liquidity, this one that purge out liquidity, goes above the body, tapped it. Now this one delivered. So you would have had one loss, two loss, and eventually a third loss. The third trade would hit the TP. But as I said, this is not meant for people who take one trade per session. And if you really get into this body thing, you could definitely take only one trade per session and you do good. But probably take you years for that, right? Because you have to do back testing and all of that for years on end to get data. And that's the cons of this, right? And what's the pros of this? You see, the body, the whole candle, the wick did not get tapped, but the body did. The body performed, right? And what is the cause of the wick? Less entries, right? But it's higher probability, right? And less RR. In this case, you will get more RR in this because you see the difference between these two. Some RR and eventually delivered, right? And now could do one showcase from today. This one did both of them, by the way. This one did both the body and the wick. If you're a body of a trader, this one have a purge out liquidity, tap the fair value gap, purge below the CRT low, close above the body, but not the wick. Enter over there. It's gonna be a one shot, one go. But people who have really tight stop loss will probably get stopped out here because of spot firms and those accounts. Just want to put a little bit low below that. You're going for this high. And I only take two RRs in here, right? I'm not, if I get any trades that offer me 2 RR, I'm not taking it, right? So in this case, the body offered me more than 2 RR. Right? So I'm taking this, but I did not take it because I was looking for the wick of the body. And yeah. You see, now the whole body that closed above it, look at the difference, 1.7 RR compared to 2.9 RR. That's the difference. That's the pros and cons of it, right? And this body was higher probability. You can see market did not waste any time hitting TP, right? Right over here. Market came here, gave you a lot of emotions, low probability, high probability markets right away pumped up, right? And as you know, if you have emotional control, this little move down wouldn't really mean anything, right? So that is it of that. Now, as I said, the cons of a body, it gives you lower probability but higher RR. Should be a main goal for you. The wick gives you higher probability but less RR, and less trades. And the con of body, once again, is you might have more losses in case, right? So if you're a person who takes one trade possession like me, I want to take one trade possession regardless of the outcome. I do my body differently, right? So now let's go over in how to use them together and how to, outperform it, right? So let me go and show you guys a way I use my body and the wick together in scenarios. Scenarios, by the way. Scenario 1, scenario 2. Scenario 1 would be if you close above the body, I'm taking out the body, taking the trade of the body. Scenario 2 would be if you close the whole thing, I'm taking the whole body. And another tip for you guys, another sauce would be if the wick is bigger than the body, you would just enter out the wick. The body is bigger than the wick, you would use the body, even if you close the whole body, even if you close above the whole candle, right? And you would, for the body, that would be for the body, right? For the wick, the candle, if the body is too small and the wick is bigger, market, you can't take out of the body, you have to take out of the whole candle, right? Out of the whole candle, that's how you take out of your outer block, right? So that's a quick sauce for you guys, which I normally don't use it, but it's definitely a good sauce to some people who are, ambitious, who want to know it, just some people, right? And now let's go over our favorite topic here. Scenario 3. Talk about 1, talk about 2, and I'll give you guys a third one. The way I do it, right, is when it all depends. The way I use my body is when the market has already closed. The way I use the body of a order block is when the market has consecutive candles. So an order block can have consecutive candles that purge out liquidity, right? That help you purge out liquidity or fill liquidity, right? So in that case, if there's consecutive candle, I like to use the body. But here's a catch for that. Because market, if there's a consecutive candle, if it's just a big drop down or drop up, pumps up to the sky, and it's less likely to retrace back into the first candle of that huge, consecutive candles. I'll just wait for the next candle. I'll just wait for the next consecutive candles, and I could either look for a body close below the body. If it closes below or above the body or below the body, I'll just use the body. If it just does the whole thing, I like to use the whole thing, right? And let me show you guys what I mean by this. If you go back in time, I could find the trade here, rest right over here. In this case, why am I using a body instead of a wick? Because it closed below the body. The body, tap the body, push down below. And in some scenarios, you can see this one did not retrace back up here, so it wouldn't make sense for the market to retrace all the way down here. Now, market might push up higher from here if it traces all the way there. That might be a retracement to the downside, eventually expansion. So this one tap the key level reversal, right? It's all based on your bias and narrative, right? Why did I use the body scenario 3, as I said, the way I like to use it, right? It's because they said I told you guys, I don't want to use the body as much because I want to take one shot position. I want to take one shot position, right? This excludes it. So in this case, I will use the body. Why would I use the body? Because the market has already closed below a candle, the full candle, the whole candle, the body and the wick closed below it, right? If we're bearish, close below. If you're bullish, close above it, right? And if it doesn't, if the market does not look like it's gonna retrace back over here, the next candle, if it closes below the body or the wick, if it closes below the wick, we're taking out the wick. Closes below the body, we're taking out the body, right? Closes below the body, let's stop right over there. This one market won't retrace all the way over here. We can just put it tight like that, right? Without covering spread. And we could just go for a take profit, which is like all of it is lows, because this is the CRT lower is over here, right? You can see market expanded from here on in. And you can see you're going for a 2.5 RR, right? Now this offers more RR. You can see this one, in this case, would have picked out of the body. If you pick it out of the wick, market never retraced to hit that body. And what did I tell you guys? Higher probability, but lower RR. 1.1 RR. I'm not taking 1.1 RR. I'm taking 2 RR or more. This is the way. This is the only way you would have catched this move if you would have used a full body, right? This is a consecutive candle to push the price up to tap a key level or purge liquidity. And this is a higher probability to deliver, but the RR is way lesser. You can see the body of this candle offers way more RR, right? Because RR is king in trading. RR wins, right? So how can you use a body or the wick as scenario 3? The scenario 1, scenario 2 that people talk about, but they did not talk about the scenario 3. What I'm talking about. The only way I'm using a body over a wick, because I like to take one trade, and taking too many trades per session, I don't want to do that. That's not my kind. I know most of you guys don't want to do that as well. Taking one trade per session. The only way I am going to do that is if there's consecutive candles. And if the market has already closed below one of the if the market already closes below or above one of the consecutive candles, right? There's 3 consecutive candles here. It closed below the one of them, and the market, and in that scenario, in scenario 3, it does not look like I'm not going to retrace back to the first, the first consecutive candle is gonna. It doesn't look like it's gonna retrace to it, right? Then the next consecutive candle is consecutive candle number 2. We could use the body or the wick. Wherever the candle closes into, if it closes below the body, we're taking out the body. If it closes below the wick, we're taking the wick. Right? Simple as that. That's scenario 3. And if there is not a consecutive candle, I'm only taking the wick. Market has to close above or below the whole candle. It has to close above or below the whole candle, because it's not a consecutive candle. It did not help a purge out liquidity. The market did not help it purge out liquidity, so I'm not taking out the body. I'm taking out the wick and the whole candle. In this case, consecutive candle have the purge out, so I'm taking the body. And the market has already closed below one of the consecutive candles, full body and wick. So that's scenario 3, and this is how you pick. Should you enter the trade out of a wick of the order block CISD, or a body of an order block CISD. And as I said, it all prefers back to you. I tell you guys the pros and cons of each of them. I'll tell you guys about the pros and cons of the wick and the body, of having higher win rate, lower probability, more RR, less trades, right? Because the wick offers you less trade, because market sometimes won't retrace if you already pushed up. If it closes up with the body, taps the close up the body, and market taps the body again, taps the order of the body, and it's less likely to retrace. Like I showed you guys scenario, the first example I showed you guys, right? Which is right over here. Market doesn't look like it's gonna retrace back to the wick, so it's like that. And I give the pros and cons. I give you the way I use it. The way I use it is consecutive candles. There's consecutive candles in there. In this case, I did not take this trade because there was not a consecutive candle. So I would have not taken this trade. I'm still having this visualization for the YouTube, right? But I did not take a trade. But if you do take this trade like this out of the body without having a consecutive candle, it's whatever you prefer, whatever you like, right? But I give you my scenario 3, which is the best scenario in my in my vision. And you can see some people would have taken this trade, they would have been up right now, right? They would have still held their trade to the 50% and to the full candle. And some of them might have a TP over here to the hourly high, stuff like that. It's all whatever you prefer. Thank you for watching, and this is how you pick the best order block, the wick or the body, or consecutive candles, or the whole thing. Thank you for watching, and join the Discord. Become a part of the family. We're gonna take over the industry. I believe in myself. I believe in you guys, and yeah, keep on crushing the chat.